I'll go first with the bust, if you guys don't mind. And my bust this year is going to be Tom Brady. Simply because, don't look at me like that, Dave. I know what you're thinking.
I'm on board with this one.
Hashtag get David good internet. And I'm gonna let Coop talk about you to you guys that are out there listening. If you haven't watched us before, we have a straight up, what do you call it? I'm blanking on the word. The situation brewing in Florida. But anyway, conspiracy. That's what it is. It's a conspiracy theory. Coop has a conspiracy about Tom Brady. It's hard running the show and thinking off the top of the. I don't have nothing written down, fellas. But anyway, that's exactly right, Tyler Bellamy. That's exactly why I'm picking Tom Brady as my bust this year, is because their O-line is so beat up. They lost all three interior linemen. One of them is coming to the Bengals, by the way, and has shown out. He has Godwin hurt. You talk about Gage not practicing. He has Mike Evans and a really old Julio Jones who hasn't really done much, but he's still Julio Jones. He could do a lot. All the drama, him missing preseason camp, who I think I have my suspicions as to why that is too. I think he's on Dancing or not Dancing with the Stars, but The Masked Singer. Have y'all seen that before?
Did y'all know that show last week?
Did you say that? About The Masked Singer?
Family. Maybe I didn't bring it up on here. Yeah.
I've read that somewhere. That's the conspiracy behind that particular instance. But it just so happened they did play the Miami Dolphins that week that he was out, and Coop can ramble on about why that's a part of his conspiracy theory. But Tom Brady is my bust. I'm not drafting him as a quarterback, even in our 2-quarterback league, unless I absolutely have to. I don't think he's going to get to the point where I have to pick him because he's the last one available because I had the first overall pick. By the time everybody gets back around to me when I need him, he's not going to be there, I don't think, especially with the hooligans that draft in our league. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Derek Talby, if you're watching. But yeah, Tom Brady's a bust. I don't think he's going to be – he might slip into the top 10 in terms of overall production for fantasy quarterbacks this year. That's my opinion.
How is that a bust? He's 45.
But he's not – he's Tom Brady, David.
Hey, everything is relative to ATP, right? When we talk about bust and sleepers, we're not saying this guy's going to be out of the league.
Right, yeah. I'm not saying that he's going to suck. I'm saying he's not going to perform to where people are drafting him.
Exactly.
Right.
There's going to be 10 quarterbacks better. If you've got a 10-person league, why are you drafting Tom Brady? There's 10 other people better.
Well, because he's Tom Brady.
Exactly, and that's why he's a bust.
He had a losing season other than when he was hurt or suspended.
That doesn't matter.
Fantasy points on the board.
I mean,
no.
Guy,
you handed off to Leonard Fournette.
If you're saying he's going to be a bust and he's ranked at 8th and you're saying he's still going to be in the top 10, that's not a bust. That's just a 45-year-old man playing with some kids. I think it's a stretch. I've bet against Tom Brady. I learned my lesson. Never do it again.
We've already talked about Dave's.
Look like an idiot.
Here's how Dave's betting woes goes. Dave spent a lot of money. I would say what, $10, $15 at the beginning of baseball season betting against the Cincinnati Reds. So for them to lose. And this is when they were like 0-8, 0-9. He would bet on them to lose, and they would win every single game that David bet them to lose. That's how David's betting woes goes.
Yeah.
So when Dave sent me a picture of his bet placing it for the Cincinnati Reds to lose, I knew we were going to win that day. But yeah, Tyler Bellamy, he's all, me and him on the same page. O-line being beat up is the key to this argument. I just think he's going to get hit. I don't want a guy to get hurt, but this might be the year that Tom Brady doesn't make it through a whole season. That's part of the reason too. Like, you got to think about that. Like, if he's healthy, yeah, he's probably a top 10 quarterback still. But is he going to make it through the season? You take the for sure road with somebody else. Not for sure, because nothing's for sure. Nothing's absolute in fantasy football. We all know that. Hashtag Christian McCaffrey. But other than that, that's my bust. Who do you guys got?
I want to keep going on Brady. Explain this a little better.
Because I didn't explain it good enough. Coop, give me some numbers.
No, not that.
Give us some numbers, Coop.
I mean, like you said, they went through 4 interior linemen because the backup center now that's replacing Ryan Jensen from his season-long injury has been banged up in practice now. He got carted off once, turned out to just be cramps. I believe he's hurt again. Both guards completely gone. One retired, like you said, one's in Cincy. Gronk was a great blocking tight end, like up there with the George Kittles of the world as a do-it-all guy, true tight end. He's also gone. The targets that he has are not the weapons he had last year, coming off injury. Leonard Fournette's coming in, 30 pounds overweight. And like you said, name a quarterback that went to the Super Bowl after voluntarily taking 2 weeks off in the preseason.
To go sing on a TV show with T-Pain.
Yeah, and the reason for that rumor, Tom Brady signed a big 10-year deal with Fox, right, as a color analyst.
Yeah, we talked
Joe
about
Buck, also as color analyst, has been on the show before. And apparently contracts are signed in the summer when he was retired. But that's the theory there. That press conference he had the other day, did you guys see that?
Mm-mm.
He was asked about it.
A lot of shit going on.
Yeah, I'm 45. I got a lot of shit going on. Like that's not Tom
I can
Brady.
say this. I can say this. Well, I think he's tuned out of football. I think he was asked to come back, so maybe he could fake an injury in the first game of the season and get the number 1 overall pick for the next draft, and then the Buccaneers can draft their next franchise quarterback.
Oh, he should have stayed away if they want to do that. They just start
Yeah,
Kyle Trask, and
But nobody would come to the games if he wasn't there.
Yeah, I think you're. I think he's kind of over football.
That's a total bullcrap answer, by the way, Dave. I know you don't think I'm serious.
I know you're serious, Frank.
I'm totally not. I'm kidding, David. You gave me that look. It was like 3 seconds too late, but you gave me that look. Hashtag get David good internet. Share the Facebook video now. Hashtag it with hashtag get David good internet. Anyway,
all right,
that was.
I got my
Brady.
bus.
All right, Dave, go ahead while you're still on.
This one is just to spite Frank.
He's gonna give Joe Burrow
Jamar Chase.
Okay, I'll go with Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
I agree with that, David.
Looking at his last year, 68 receptions, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. You know, it's not just a one-time thing. It's happened to multiple people. I think you got T. Higgins. You got – I'm blanking on the other dude's name right now.
Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd. You got Joe Mixon. I don't know. I just feel like teams are going to take him away or try their best to take him away. He still might have a decent year. He's not going to be top tier. It's just not possible, in my opinion. You know, I think he's a great wide receiver. He's a great talent, but 68 catches and 11. DK had 15, or he had a great season last year, and he had 64 catches for 850 yards and 9 touchdowns. I think that's more realistic games. Jamar Chase rip off 3 catches for 180 yards and 3 scores. So,
yeah, when we talked about the Bengals a couple weeks ago in our little our division preview, I mentioned Jamar Chase probably not having the same type of production as he did last year. I think that's a good pick as being a bust. And to remind everybody, what we deem by definition as a bust is somebody that you pick expecting to do these great things that doesn't end up doing these great things. That doesn't necessarily mean they don't do good things, but they're not going to carry your team to a championship. And Jamar Chase is a great quality or a great candidate to fall into that category, especially with the weapons that Joe Burrow has around him and the way the defenses are going to scheme against the Bengals because, in my opinion, the world is out to get the Bengals. You see what the AFC did with getting all the edge rushers back in town. So there's that. I think it's a good pick for a bust, Dave. Coop, you got one, or you going to piggyback off of Tom Brady?
No, I got another one. I'll go Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
Not putting up wide receiver 7 numbers and kind of not anti-Tua, but we're sitting here talking about DK's not draftable because of Geno. Yeah. Is Tua that much better than Geno that he can have 2 top 20 quarterbacks? Like, I don't think there's that big of a disparity between Geno and Tua. Like he doesn't have the ability to have two guys produce this high. You've got
I don't think so either.
ADP, Tyreek's at 7, Waddle's at 18. I think they're both a lot closer to each other. If they're in the top 20, it's going to be like 19-20. Like they're not going to be Chase and Higgins. They're not going to be top 10, 12 receivers.
Yeah, I see all kinds of videos of Tua underthrowing a lot of people, T-Bill.
Yeah.
Somebody said that, damn, didn't know we were throwing 50-yard curl routes up in here. But, yeah, there's that. I think Tyreek Hill is a great pick for a bust. And like we said, great player, probably going to have pretty decent numbers and might have a game where he scores 2-3 touchdowns with 150 yards receiving. Just don't think it's going to be as consistent enough as we think week to week. And that's what it takes to win a fantasy football league is you got to have week-to-week production. You don't have to have week-to-week outbreaks of, 30-point games by receivers and running backs. You need everybody to score in the 20s with whatever your scoring system is. You got to keep up with everybody else position by position with your opposition week in and week out. And when you get to the playoffs, it's even harder. Late in the season, all your waiver wires come into play. Trades that you made throughout the season come into play. These guys that we're talking about may be great trade candidates for early on in the season, depending on what you see the usage is for those quarterbacks throwing to these certain receivers like Chase and Hill. So moving forward, keep that in the back of your minds too. I know I'm going to whenever, I'm drafting for one, I'm going to make sure that I'm drafting people on good offenses, regardless of what, sometimes their ADP does come into play. But when you get in the mid rounds, sometimes it doesn't. It's all about a gut feeling, in my opinion. Any other busts you want to get out of the way? Deebo Samuel, you think it's going to be a bust?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good pick too. I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to cut you off, but he's not going to have the same role as he did last year. He's not going to be forced to do the same things he did last year. And I think that's more of everybody on his team being healthy again rather than him being a talented football player. He's going to be receiving the ball. He will get time in the backfield again just because I knew it worked, but he won't get the same all-around production as the center focus of the team anymore, in my opinion.
Yep. He led the NFL in fantasy points over expected last year. So, based on your usage, you have an expected amount of fantasy points you should score, and nobody had more over that expectation last year than Deebo. His efficiency was just out of this world. I mean, higher than Jamar Chase, and we're talking about him being a bust as well. And Deebo's, a few years older. It took him a while to get going, and he just had so much rushing volume. He can't duplicate that.
Yeah. And just because we're saying these guys are busts, don't mean they're undraftable. It's sort of like, okay, you're left with a decision to make when it's your turn to pick. And you got a guy that's, surefire, consistent year in, year out with a quarterback that he's been with forever against a guy just as good, puts up same numbers, around the same ADP. You might need to think about the choice you want to make. And do I want to go with the surefire thing or do I want to take a leap?